It is Monday, the 23rd day of August, 2021. I am Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Behind my shoulder, you see a traffic situation that's been going on for about an hour and 45 minutes, toned out from Rivercom at about 5:15 this morning of a multi-car accident at the intersection of Sunset Highway and 13th Street in East Wenatchee, basically right behind the Douglas County PUD headquarters. Sunset Highway has been closed in both directions since this accident, again at about 5:15. So if you can possibly avoid Sunset Highway on your morning commute in East Wenatchee, it's a good idea to do so. They're, as you can see, taking traffic around the accident area, which is adding to congestion on the side streets. Again, Sunset Highway closed in both directions, where it meets up with 13th Street by the hotel there, right behind the Douglas County PUD of a multi-car accident. And again, this has been going on for about an hour and 45 minutes. So if you plan on heading in that general area of Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee, you best don't, all right? It's going to be a long morning commute. Lots to get to today. It was a beautiful weekend. We had rain Friday night into Saturday. Much needed rain. We could have used more, but it also helped the folks up north at the 25-mile fire. We'll talk about that when we get to news. And a few headlines to get to. Seahawks still aren't playing their starters, as you might imagine by now. Denver played almost all of their starters, and it looked that way. We'll have Eric Granstrom's wrap from Lumen Field when we get to sports. The Mariners did scramble out a victory against Houston over the weekend. The Astros still own the Mariners and have for the last 5 or 6 years. We'll have highlights of that. Plus the obscure holiday today in history. Everyone's entitled to Mike McNaughty's opinion. We got some celebrity birthdays coming your way, and we're going to replay the interview I did with Rod Molzahn, the author of the book What They Found: The History of the Peoples of North Central Washington. It is a must-have book in your library if you're interested at all in the history of the Wenatchee Valley in North Central Washington, because history is made by people as much as it is events. You're going to like that conversation with Rod in the back half of the program. All right, we got that incident, as you can see, still on the intersection of 13th Street and Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee. We have other cameras to get to on this Monday morning as Uriah pushes the buttons. And again, it's still blocked, and there's still detouring traffic. But I think the word is out by now to avoid that area if at all possible. We'll have whatever news came out of this accident during the news tonight at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock with Grant Olson. Let's see where Uriah wants to visit. He wants to go up and see what's happening. I want to say, is that the Tumwater Canyon camera or Black Mountain? That is the Tumwater Canyon camera, looking almost directly to the east. I'm just saying that because the sun's coming up that direction. Of course, we are losing daylight. We went under the 14-hour mark on Friday. We're now down to 13 hours and 49 minutes of daylight. Sunrise this morning, 6:08, sunset 7:57. By the way, for the record, Saturday's high was 77. Sunday's high was 77. Our normal high is 85. We had 2/100ths of an inch of rain on Friday night after the sun went down, and then overnight about 11/10ths of an inch Friday into Saturday. That's measured at Pangbourne. I got up about 4:30 on Saturday morning, and it was coming down pretty hard at my house, pretty close here to downtown Wenatchee. So the rain felt good, and it's going to be much cooler weather, by the way, all this week. It's been, of course, a very hot summer, but we're catching a break from Mother Nature this week. Camera number 3. We are off to see Lake Chelan from, I want to say maybe the Lower Butte camera, I'm guessing here. Okay, good. That's what I'm saying. So the North Shore of Chelan is to the right, South Shore is to the left. You can see Wapato Point sticking out there. Still a few clouds and still some haze from the 25-mile fire, but they had very good progress on the 25-mile fire because they had the rain. Quite a bit of rain came down in Chelan over the weekend. Same time period as Wenatchee, Friday night into Saturday morning. And camera number 4. Oh, beautiful view there. But I don't know what exactly. Oh, that's the Rock Island camera, correct? Yes, Rock Island camera. I'm a little slow. It's Monday. You know how it is. I'm here and I'm working. I'm just not working particularly hard. Good morning to our friends Rock Island at the bottom of your screen, the Malaga area to the top of your screen, the Columbia River doing its job. And off in the distance, we can see the Clockham Ridge area and Jump Off Ridge just to your left, just a little bit out of your frame. All right, good work this morning from Uriah. Let's go ahead and do that weather forecast because it's going to be very pleasant. We like this after this unbearably warm weather. National Weather Service says we're going to catch a break pretty much all this week. We'll be well below normal. Our forecast calls for sunshine today. Mid-70s for the high. Again, we're right around 80 afternoon high, so we'll take that. 50 for the overnight low. Very little wind today, very little wind tonight. It's going to be just a beautiful late summer day. We do it again on Tuesday, warmer still with a high of 78. Warmest day of the week, work week anyway, Wednesday with a high of 83. That's still below normal. And we're going to see a few more clouds perhaps coming in and out on Wednesday as the weak system comes up. We'll hover right around that 83-degree mark on Thursday, slightly cooler on Friday, and then we warm back up to above normal temperatures on Saturday and Sunday. Sunshine prevalent for everybody. No significant wind, no significant rain. It all in the forecast. A couple of passing clouds Tuesday night into Wednesday, and that's pretty much all you have to worry about. I'll take that forecast, no doubt about that. 6 minutes after the hour, after a quick 1 minute break, we will have your headlines on this Monday morning. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Kids are resilient. I just love their energy. They bounce back so quickly. I love the stories they tell. I love just their charisma, their character. I love to see that subtle smile that you pull out of a kid, you know, when you start talking with them about something they really like. I just love what I do, and I can't imagine I would be as happy doing anything else.
What you're doing is ridiculous.
Well,
I mean, you might as well throw up a screen door to block the summer smoke.
sometimes it gets
When we
warm.
breathe in the wildfire smoke, we are ingesting hazardous chemicals such as acetic acid and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. A lot of bad stuff, okay?
Well, yeah, that's why we...
Cardboard ain't gonna cut it.
So...
Go to CheyennePUD.org/save today.
Just a few high clouds outside of that bountiful sunshine. A very pleasant 54 degrees. Will be about 74 for the afternoon high today. So below normal today, below normal on Thursday, slightly Tuesday, slightly warmer Wednesday and Thursday, with lots of sunshine pretty much all week long. We begin our news with this story about a 78-year-old Peshastin man who survived 5 nights lost in the wilderness 20 miles west of Leavenworth. He survived by catching and eating fish before being rescued on Friday afternoon. The unidentified man was reported missing last Monday after failing to return from his hike on Sunday the 15th. Now, according to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office, the man had hiked up the French Ridge Trail above French Creek when he lost his way and hiked down to the French Creek area, and that's where he stayed until a group of hikers found him and were able to flag down a search team. The man was carried out by a litter. A Wenatchee man faces multiple drug charges after a police tactical team staked out his motel room and arrested him earlier last week. 45-year-old Maurice Ricardo Young was arrested Wednesday outside of North Wenatchee Avenue Motel. Police have been seeking him since he allegedly fled from a traffic stop on August 14th. When he was arrested, Young allegedly tried to dispose of a bag containing a handgun, nearly 2 ounces of methamphetamine, and 12 grams of heroin. He was booked into the Chelan County Regional Jail. The Veteran Services provider convicted of 4th-degree assault in a Wenatchee courtroom last month has appealed his case. Thad Lawson Jr. He wants the Chelan County Superior Court to overturn the jury verdict that found him guilty of assaulting a woman in the offices of the Veterans Warehouse Thrift Store, where he's been director for 8 years. There's Mr. Lawson there. Lawson filed papers seeking appeal on Thursday. He was sentenced to 75 days in jail. That sentence has been set aside while his appeal is pending. It's Lawson's second conviction for gross misdemeanor assault in the past 5 years. Excuse me. The Wenatchee School Board says its hands are tied when it comes to requiring vaccines for teachers and other district employees. Superintendent Paul Gordon issued an advisory on Thursday reminding parents that local school districts are required to comply with Governor Jay Inslee's new requirement that K-12 workers be fully vaccinated for coronavirus or provide a valid medical or religious exemption, and they have to till October 18th to do that. State School Superintendent Chris Reichdahl said much the same when those orders were announced on Wednesday.
For those who have this passionate want to tell folks how frustrated they are, I really respect that. That feedback goes into the decision making. What they ought not do is go to school boards and ask them to do something that is not in the control of school boards and school directors. We can take lots of criticism here. Please keep it civil. Please keep it respectful and safe. We've got email addresses. We get a lot of that. We respond to a lot of that. But your local school board is not making this decision, whether it's mask or vaccines. This is a requirement of the state of Washington with the power of law in a public health crisis where lives have been lost and will continue to be lost if we don't react. Please take your respectful civil discourse where it belongs, and local school boards are not that place.
Drivers who use Badger Mountain Road above East Wenatchee are going to have to use a detour starting today. As a matter of fact, the road will close between Fancher Heights Boulevard and Daniels Drive Northeast. The idea, Chelan County road crews can repair the surface. A detour will be in place at Eastmont and Fancher Field Road. The closure, by the way, is expected to last until September 10th. Quick update on the 25-mile fire. It is, as of sundown last night, the last available mapping of that. They mapped the fires during the day. They can't really do it at night. It's 10,518 acres in size as of sunset last night, so it grew very little, if at all, over the weekend. Heavy to moderate rain, of course, fell in the fire area on Friday night into Saturday morning. That helped. No additional structures have been lost. The evacuation levels remain in effect. We'll have more on the 25-mile fire at the news tonight at 5, 6, and 10. And speaking of the news tonight at 5, 6, and 10, with a preview on some of the stories we're working on, here's the anchor, Grant Olson.
Good Monday morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, quiet, mild weather for the week ahead. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. And in sports, Eric Granstrom has the weekend wrap on the Mariners and the Seahawks. That and all the day's news stories coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. Don't forget, if you have a news tip or you just want to drop us a note and say hi, we love to hear from you. We really do. Use our Facebook page. Use Facebook Messenger. It's right there. You can go to our homepage, ncwlife.com. Drop us a note via the Contact Us icon. You can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com. After a 1-minute break, highlights from an exciting Mariner victory. Boy, they threw the whole kitchen sink at the Astros, trying to stop the Houston machine that seems to just own the Mariners. We'll have highlights of that. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about Seahawks football from Saturday night, and everything else in the world of local sports is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Come on, I'm a certified technician. I was trained to take good care of you.
9. I've only been to the dealer.
I've been coming here for years. These guys are great.
Look around. The BMW, the Jag, the Volvo, they're all waiting for regular service. Well, the BMW has a little computer issue, but that's nothing we can't handle. Come on in.
From regular maintenance to computer troubleshooting, trust the Global Car Care technicians with your import, diesel-powered, or domestic vehicle. Global Car Care. They speak your car's language.
Dankeschön.
Yippee skippy, it's Collins summer sale. Look for our red tag on shorts, capris, ankle pants, tanks, tees, dresses, handbags, wallets, jewelry, sandals, etc. Savings up to 50% off on selected merchandise. Brands like Joseph Ribkoff, Frank Lyman, Not Your Daughter's Jeans, Cut, French Dressing, Tribal, Nellie Millie, Fly London, and Soft Sandals. Selected retired handbags from Brighton, Lotus, and Joseph Ribkoff. Come in soon for the best selection at Collins, where fun meets fashion in downtown Wenatchee.
"14 minutes after the hour, the Mariners salvaged the third and final game of their 3-game series in exciting fashion. 6-3 the final. The M's over the Astros yesterday afternoon. The Mariners came into Sunday's game having lost Friday and Saturday by a combined score of 27-4, and the offense continued to struggle against Framber Valdez, and Seattle trailed, in fact, 2-0 heading into the 8th inning, but that's when J.P. Crawford began a late-game rally.
Checks the runner, Bowers the stretch, and the 0-1 pitch swung on a fly ball into right center field, and deep. Myers on the run. This one is on the track and off the base of the wall. Bowers rounding third, being waved in, he'll score. Crawford in at second base with a 2-out RBI double, and it's now the Astros 2, the Mariners 1, and they've got the tying run on at second base. That ball had some backspin to it. A lot of carry toward the gap in right center field beyond the reach of Jake Myers.
Ty France extended the game with a solo shot in the top of the ninth.
Presley ready. And the right-hander's 0-1 pitch on the way. Swing and a fly ball deep to left center field. Going back is Myers. This one is gone. Goodbye baseball. Over the orange-yellow stripe out there in left center field. Ty France with his 15th home run of the year. And the Mariners have tied it up at 2-2. Ty jumps on an 0-1 pitch from Ryan Presley. Out of here to left center field over the wall off an advertising sign up there. Then back onto the field. And we are tied at 2.
The Astros got the bases loaded in the 10th with nobody out. It looked like the Mariners were going to lose. And then Paul Seward was able to, well, he did this.
Seawald gets the sign. He sets. Another 3-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Top of the zone. And Seawald is looking like the Hulk as he flexes, walking off the mound. He gets the Mariners out of a bases-loaded 10th inning jam.
Mariners took their first lead of the entire weekend in the 11th inning, thanks to Ty France.
And the 2-2 pitch on the way to Ty, swinging a ground ball, and it's a base hit into right field. Crawford's going to score. Haniger to second, and he's going to hold there. Up with the ball is Brantley. The throw to third is cut off by Correa, and the Mariners have the lead. Crawford's going easily from third base. France going the other way. Just a quick little swing, getting the barrel of the bat to the ball. A lot of room on the right side of the infield between Altuve and Gurriel.
And then Kyle Seager would provide some much-needed insurance to put the Mariners up for good.
And the 2-2 to Kyle. Swing and a high fly ball deep into the gap in right center field. Going and goodbye baseball over the Astros bullpen. Kyle Seager with his 29th home run of the season. The Mariners with 4 runs in here in the top of inning number 11.
I mean, that is one of his longest home runs ever.
Now, the Astros would score a run in the bottom of the 11th. That made it 6-3, and they had the bases loaded against Seattle rookie Yohan Ramirez.
Fly ball center field. J.K. coming on. That's your ball game. How about the Mariners bouncing back after those 2 blowouts? Beautiful game. They win it in extra innings, 6-3, and Yohan Ramirez, the biggest moment in his big league career.
And for the Mariners offensively, it was the guys that you would expect to be in there. Haniger with a big walk, Ty France, obviously the home run, then the base hit. Kyle Seager, what a year he's having, a 3-run home run. And as you can tell, they certainly needed that to score all 4 runs. Scott Service, I'm sure, feels pretty good about things right now. They're going to get on the plane, head out to Oakland, 4-2 on the road trip so far.
As Mike Blowers just mentioned, they are 4-2 on the road trip so far. Next up, Oakland. In Oakland, where there's no there. 6:40 first pitch tonight. Marco Gonzalez will take on Paul Blackburn. The Mariners remain 3 games back in the wild card race after San Francisco edged the A's 2-1. Donovan Solano provided the game-winning hit for the Giants with a 2-run home run in the 8th. Cal Quantrill was brilliant over 7 innings. He pitched a 2-hit shutout, 9 strikeouts to lead Cleveland with a 3-0 win over the Angels. Texas and Boston rained out. They'll make it up today. For the 5th straight year, the Corvallis Knights are the champions of the West Coast League. Corvallis beating Yakima Valley 13-2 to win the best-of-3 series, 2-1. Nick Vought's RBI triple capped a 5-run second inning as the Knights put the game out of reach early. Kiko Romero ended the game 3 for 5 with a 2-run home run, 4 RBIs. Ethan Ross pitched 5 innings to earn the victory. On the mound, he allowed just 1 run, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts. For Corvallis, it's their 8th overall league championship, dating back to 2008. Seahawks had a rough night, as you probably know, on Saturday night in front of the fans at Lumen Field. For the first time in over 600 days, they had fans at Lumen Field. Our very own Eric Granstrom was there and provided this wrap.
Well, the Seahawks are 0-2 on the preseason after an ugly night at Lumen Field. It was nice to be in front of the fans, but they didn't have much to cheer about on the night as the Seahawks fall to the Denver Broncos by a score of 30-3. In the end, the stats are pretty similar, but it was all Denver. Pretty much throughout most of the game. 264 yards of total offense for the Broncos, 250 for the Seahawks, 201 through the air for the Broncs, and 176 through the air for the Seahawks. Now, as far as the night, Alex Magoo, well, he did not look so good. turnovers are the key. Seahawks turned it over 3 times in this one. That led to a lot of Denver's points. Also, Sean Mannion, not too bad. So if there's a battle for third, he's got the edge after this game on Saturday night. The Seahawks also dealing with injuries after this one. First play of the game, in fact, the kickoff. Ben Burkervin goes down with an apparent knee injury. John Ursua also goes down on the night, and Ryan Neal got dinged up as well. So the Seahawks will get an update on Monday from Pete Carroll about those injuries as they prepare for the final game of the preseason. That'll be next Saturday at home here at Lumen Field against the LA Chargers. Again, the Seahawks fall 30-3 to Denver, drop to 0-2 on the preseason. Here at Lumen Field in Seattle, I'm Eric Grandstrom on the NCW Life Channel.
As Eric mentioned, probably more painful than the actual score, 30-3, was the injuries to linebacker Ben Burkervin and wide receiver John Ursua. Knee injuries, safety Ryan Neal. He's out with an oblique strain. We're going to find out later on today if the knee injuries are in fact season-ending. Both Coach Pete Carroll said after the game that the injuries are in fact serious. Seattle wraps up the preseason, as Eric mentioned, this Saturday at home against the Chargers. The Jays own the night. Saturday night at Wenatchee Valley Super Oval for North Mechanical Shootout. Jesse Jensen of Monroe was first. Jason Jefferson of Natchez was second. In the 75 lap main event for the Jerry's Auto Supply Pro late models, Okanagan's Evan Getz was third. Wenatchee's Jay Evans drove his cow car to the checkered flag in the Plum Perfect Roadrunners main event. RT Griner was second, Jason Walker third. The Northwest Vintage Modifieds made another stop at the WVSO over the weekend, and Sumner's Steve Woods won the main event. Mount Vernon's Kyton Jones was second, followed by Seattle's Rick Villiard and Rebel Jackson Jr. Now that's a racing name right there. He was able to hold off Nick Larson for the win, and the Northwest Focus Midgets. Burian's Marty Rosler finished third. No racing this weekend at the WVSO. They'll be off until September 11th for the Jerry Bershauer Memorial 111 and the Wenatchee Cup. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. At 22 minutes after the hour on this Monday, we want to celebrate National Ride the Wind Day because of this contraption. It was a big prize. It was announced back in 1959. The first person who could fly a contraption powered entirely by man. And on this date, the Gossamer Condor took flight and flew August 23rd, 1977. There it is, the Gossamer Condor, the very first human-powered aircraft that was capable of actually flying a sustained and controlled flight. It won the prize that was put up in 1959 by industrialist Henry Kremer. It's 30 feet long, length. The wingspan is 96 feet. You need a huge wingspan to do that. It's 18 feet high. It only weighs 70 pounds total. You put the human in it, it weighs a little bit more. And again, it flew for the first time on August 23rd, 1977. So that's why today is National Ride the Wind Day today. I still want my jetpack. I was promised a jetpack when I was a kid. We'd have that. We'd just jet around. I want my jetpack. Today in history, this is the 237th anniversary of the state of Franklin. Yeah, Western North Carolina, which is now Eastern Tennessee, declares itself the independent state under the name of Franklin. It was not accepted into the United States. They gave up after 4 years. The idea, after the Revolutionary War, everybody was supposed to pay up. And North Carolina said, we ain't got no money. Sorry, George. This was in 1784. We ain't got no money. So how about if we just secede a section of our real estate to Congress, so we'll consider that paying off our debts for the American War for Independence. The idea was it would be the 14th state of the new republic, Washington, D.C., and said, no, it's nice of you, North Carolina, but we just soon take the money. Not surprisingly, the state of Franklin was named after Ben Franklin. Anyway, the state of Franklin, they lasted about 4 years, and they said, nah, heck with it. 82 years ago today, August 23rd, 1939, there were the headlines from the New York Times. The Soviet Union and Nazi Germany said, you don't attack us, we won't attack you. Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Hitler and Joe Stalin signed their non-aggression treaty. This was just a couple of weeks, less than that, before the start of World War II. By the way, there was a secret addition to the pact. The Baltic states, Finland, Romania, and Poland were divided between the two nations, even though, well, basically, Nazi Germany was going to take Poland anyway. So yeah, Uncle Joe Stalin and Adolf Hitler made this agreement saying we won't attack each other in case of war. It didn't hold up because on this date, 79 years ago, August 23rd, 1942, the beginning of the Battle of Stalingrad. It lasted 5 months, 1 week, and 1 day. When it was all over, 400,000 Nazi Germans were either killed, wounded, or captured. The Soviets suffered 1,129,000 casualties defending Stalingrad. Told you it wasn't going to last. My favorite vice president, if you watch the show, you know it's Spiro T. Agnew. And he was renominated to be the vice president at the Republican National Convention on this date in Miami Beach, Florida, on August 23rd, 1972. Spiro T. Agnew renominated to be vice president. He had 1,345 votes. One delegate voted for journalist David Brinkley. He wasn't even a Republican. Thought I'd throw that out there. And happy 30th birthday to the web. The World Wide Web was opened to the general public on this date in 1991. So happy birthday, www. whatever you want to type in, .com. The World Wide Web to the public, open to the public, August 23rd, 1991, 30 years ago today. I think it's going to take off. I think it's going to be very popular. Let's do birthdays. Legendary actor Gene Kelly, a great dancer, singer, actor, born in this state in 1912, won a whole slew of Academy Awards. Unfortunately for Gene Kelly, the last movie he ever made was Xanadu. Apparently he needed the money, but we miss him anyway. The great Gene Kelly, Hollywood legend, born in the state in 1912. Da, 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 da. Barbara Eden, I Dream of Jeannie. This will blow you away. She's 90 today. Da, da, do, 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 do. Barbara Eden, 90. The greatest drummer in the history of rock and roll, Keith Moon. Born in the state in 1946, died from being Keith Moon at the age of 32 in 1978, but he is, in my opinion, the greatest drummer ever, regardless of genre. Certainly the greatest drummer in the history of rock and roll, Moon the Loon. And believe it or not, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant would have been 43 years old today. Kobe Bryant, of course, passing away in the airplane crash in 2020. He won 5 NBA championships, was an 18-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA team, one of the greatest basketball players ever. Kobe Bryant, born in this state in 1978. We lost him way, way too soon. All right, going to take a break. When we come back, we got an opinion from Mike Mad Dog McNaughty. And if you missed my interview with last week that we aired with Rod Molzahn, local author, historian, and teacher, his new book is called What They Found. It's a great read. I know. I read it. He's going to talk about it when we come back. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
You're in Ford Country, land of Pat Armstrong, Ford Lincoln, home of the lifetime warranty. That'll sure get you thinking you need a new truck, an SUV, a car to take in on the scenery. Mountains, rivers, slopes, and streams. You might as well see them from the truck of your dreams. You're in Ford Country, land of Pat Armstrong, Ford Lincoln. You're in Ford Country.
Think premium can't be capable? Think again. Introducing the first ever AT4 lineup. Premium and capable. That's professional grade from GMC.
Are you a take charge kind of person? Consider a career as a health unit coordinator. You'll work to keep health facilities running efficiently by coordinating medical providers, patients, and departments. The Charter College Certificate in Health Unit Coordinator program can get you up to speed on basic patient care, health records management, health and safety procedures, and medical billing. And the 10-month online program includes a computer you keep. Get started at chartercollege.edu, where we work to get you to work.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
For more than 56 years, Crown Furniture and Mattress has been serving North Central Washington with the same principles we were founded on, offering the best quality, great value, incredible comfort, honesty, integrity, and of course, made in the USA. Because so much of our inventory is made in America, it has alleviated a lot of the shortages companies are experiencing nationwide. We are overstocked and ready to deliver. So stop by and see us today or visit us online at www.crownfurnitureandmattress.com.
Crown Furniture, where prices really are lower.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNally, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, Rosie and I, we recently spent over $300 to see the musical West Side Story at the Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle. That was fun. It was a great show. We enjoyed doing stuff like that once in a while. But are you aware of the incredible live theater that's available to us right here at a minuscule fraction of the cost right here in Wenatchee? Every year, local community theater groups out there right here in our town put on very high-quality productions. No joke. These productions are comparable to anything you're going to go see professionally over in Seattle. Now, I know many of you take advantage of these opportunities, but there are many more folks who aren't even aware of the live entertainment we are blessed to have right here. So, if you've never seen a live play or musical here in town, hey, I encourage you to give community theater a try. Trust me, you'll love it. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue. We are your one-stop bar and grill, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Hi, Justin here, owner of Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere. Looking for a fun night out? Join us at Club Crow. We have live bands to rock the night away, comedy to make you laugh, and if that's not enough, we have poker every Monday and Wednesday night. Club Crow in Cashmere has it all. Check out our Facebook event page for dates and times. Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
Introducing Alpine Airman. Because every home needs a superhero to eliminate poor indoor air quality, send inefficient operating equipment packing, and cut high energy bills down to size. For heating or cooling and equipment replacement, turn to the experts and the superheroes at Carrier and Alpine Air. We offer the best deals on high-efficiency Carrier products, along with friendly, knowledgeable service and incredible savings to fit your budget.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. My guest is no stranger to the people of North Central Washington. He was a longtime columnist for the Good Life magazine, writing about the people and the history of North Central Washington. He is one of the experts, one of the half dozen people who know more about this area than almost anybody. He has done his homework, and he has a book. It's called What They Found, Stories of People in North Central Washington. And I mean, we're going all the way back to the very beginning. Rod Molzahn is my guest. Rod, thanks for joining me.
It's nice to be here.
It's good to see you. I'm familiar with your work, obviously, back in the day when you would work with our good friend Uncle Dave, and you would come in and do your soliloquies that I enjoyed so much. And you've written this book. I can't think of a person who was more qualified to write this book, Rod Molzahn. The genesis of this book. Why did you decide to finally get off the schneid and get her done?
Well, you made a short mention about the spoken word CDs that I did. And as soon as I put those out, people were saying, well, when's the book coming? And I thought, a book? So I got that question a lot, so I thought, okay, I better think about that. So when the idea really started to get into my head, my plan was to write a history of the Wenatchee Valley. And I didn't get very far before I realized that you can't talk about the Wenatchee Valley unless you're ready to talk about all of North Central Washington, because it's all connected. So at that point, the whole idea of what the book would be changed for me and opened up all kinds of new research to do. So that's really the beginning of it. that was about 10 years ago. At that point, I was finishing about a chapter a year. I'll talk about the pandemic a little bit, because I have other work that I do too.
Yeah.
I'm a substitute teacher for Westside High School. Hooray Westside, my favorite school in the whole town. I do a couple other things too. I do some theater work. And so what happened when the pandemic came in, they closed the schools, so I lost that work, and then they canceled all of my summer art programs, so that was gone too. And I thought, well, I got all this time that I always complained that I didn't have, so I decided that I would not sit around and drink wine until 4 in the afternoon. I would, in fact, write the book. So I was able to finish it in about a year. I had kind of anticipated it would take me another 2 or 3 years to finish. So
You mentioned that you can't tell the story of the Wenatchee Valley without telling the story of North Central Washington as a whole. The connective is, to me, two things. Number one, the Columbia River.
Yep.
And number two, when the railroads came.
Yep.
Those were when the Columbia River became navigable to a certain point, and you could use it to get from point A to point B, and then in came the railroads as well.
yeah, well, actually, the steamboats came before the railroad because J.J. Hill was a good friend of Alexander Griggs. They had worked together in Minnesota. Actually owned a steamboat on the Red River back there. So J.J. Hill knew he wasn't going to run a rail north from Wenatchee. That wasn't in his plans at that time. But they also knew there was a lot of towns up there and a lot of business up there. So he told his friend Alexander Griggs to sell his stuff in Minnesota, come out here, and he could make a lot of money running steamboats up and down the Wenatchee. And that's exactly what happened. So I consider the steamboats to be the first real connector between all of the towns from here up to Orville, actually.
All the way to the Canadian border.
All the way to the border.
This book is chronological, and it's stories of people of North Central Washington. You go all the way back to the very, very beginning. I mean, to the very, very beginning, before the white man came, back to the indigenous people who
we're late arrivals.
Yeah, very late arrivals.
Very late arrivals.
You went all the way back to the very, very beginning with Clovis Man.
With the Clovis stuff. Well, they were then, you know, I mean, people say, well, what's the book about? And I say, it's a history of North Central Washington from geology to apple trees. And there's a lot of stuff that went on between that. I like geology, and so I write about it. I like the native people and their stories, and so I write about it. Somebody said, write about what you know. That helps too, but I mostly was writing about stuff I wanted to know. And so the research came first, and I thought, oh, this is pretty cool, and I like that.
You said it took you a good decade to write it. Did you find inspiration when you would write your columns for The Good Life, which are all about the history of the people of North Central Washington? You said, oh, make a note of that. That's got to go into the book. Did that have that kind of organic development as the book built up, or did you just say, I'm writing this chronologically, come hell or high water?
That's a good question. I like that. I tried not to. Because I was already, when I told a couple people I was working on a book, they said, oh, is it just a combination of Good Life articles? And I said, no, and I thought, I need to make sure that people don't think that's what it is. And so I didn't structure it in the same way as the Good Life articles. And I also tried hard not to borrow back and forth between them. I'd write something really neat in the book, and then I'd be at a loss for a Good Life article that month. And I go, well, I could just take, no. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep them pretty separately. I wanted there to be things in the book that never showed up in the Good Life articles. I want there to be things in Good Life that don't ever show up in the book. I just think that they're separate animals.
So you don't have to look at Rod and I for the whole 15 minutes. You brought some photos. We're going to throw some photos up. And Rod, I'm going to let you just handle the description of what the folks on.
All right.
So we're going to use the monitor here in the studio, and you folks at home, please use your televisions. We talked about Clovis, and there we begin.
There is an actual Clovis Point. Hard to get that kind of thing. There was an agreement made between the Colville and the Richies, who owned the orchard where this stuff was found, and they, excuse me, they wanted only replicas available for photographs. The points that they have down here in the Wenatchee Museum are replicas. The points that they have and the photos they have for the Washington Historical Society Museum in Tacoma are all replicas. And I didn't want a replica. So what we have here is a photo taken at the time that the points were uncovered. This is a Clovis point in situ, S-I-T-U, which means it is lying in the very dirt that it was placed in 13,000 years ago. It was not moved. It was uncovered, brushed clean, and then they were all covered back up again and covered with concrete. So this is a very unusual photo. It's hard to know what it was other than it's a beautiful blade. I said something to somebody one day. I said, this is functional art. And they said, well, it's a skill. It's not so much art. And I said, no, the skill was making it sharp. It didn't have to be beautiful. That's the art. So this is probably a knife blade as opposed to an animal killing spear point.
You go into great detail of the indigenous personnel, the indigenous people who were here long before we were, and their interactions with the early white settlers. This wasn't like Missouri or Kansas. This was a different kind of setup. And we're going to show you some of the photos of the Native American tribal leaders, almost all of them the last of their generation.
That's a good thing to say because it was true. They were all the last because they all ended up on the Colville, and there were no more tribes, and there were no more chiefs.
Let's go ahead and we'll begin with this one.
No Indians, but we got this wonderful photograph of Sam Miller, who, along with the Freer brothers, they took over the trading post down at the confluence. I know where the towers are down there, the broadcast towers.
The KPQ towers, yep.
Yeah, the KPQ towers. And the trading post was probably right up on the little bench right behind to the west side of those towers. So this is Sam, and he closed the store in 1888. This is a later picture. It was thought for a while that these were the children of the Freer brothers, who died way before Sam did, but actually they're not. These are the children of the Freer brothers. So these are the Freer's grandchildren.
Is Sam Miller the same one who Miller Street was named after, or is that a different
That's
Miller?
A good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sam Miller was at the south end, or the north end, I'm sorry,
right.
Of Miller Street. That's where the trading post was. And at the south end, where Millardale Street is now, was Philip Miller's 1,000 acres. Both of them took turns pounding the the silver spike in when the railroad came through Wenatchee, because they were both considered the fathers of Wenatchee. They were the earliest. They both showed up about the same time. They were not related. And the answer to your question is nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Or the best answer is it was probably named after both of them.
Right. And descendants of the Miller family, by the way, still call this place home, which is pretty cool. Another picture. Throw it up, please.
This is John Harmelt. He was the last chief of the Pasquos people, who have in the past been called the Wenatchee people, but that was not their name. Their name was Pasquos or Pasquosa. Either one, I have been told, is correct. This was taken in 1931 at the last powwow that happened in Kashmir. They had been annual kinds of things, and this was the last one. I love his facial expression. At this point, his whole life was centered around trying to get the reservation that they had been promised in 1855.
Yet another broken promise by the government.
It was a mile square, supposed to be right at the confluence of the Icicle and the Wenatchee, which is now where Leavenworth is, of course. So, yep, this was good stuff.
Next one, please.
I love this picture. This is Long Jim. He's the last chief of the Cheyennes. His father was Inamosicha, and he had an older brother named Inamosicha Bill, and so this guy became Inamosicha Jim. His father and his brother died at basically the same time, so at a very young age he became the last chief of the Cheyennes. And I've seen many pictures of him. This looks to me like somebody who's probably 18 or 19 years old. There are a lot of other pictures of him when he was older, and honestly, in a couple of the older ones, he's wearing exactly the same striped suit and exactly the same leather vest. So I said, well, that's got to be another picture of Long Jim.
Let's throw up another one, please.
He's great. This is my favorite one, maybe. I don't know. This is Chilcosa Haskett. He was the last chief of the Antiats. He was probably around 100 when this picture was taken.
And he lived another 5 years after that.
At least another 5 years after that. He's buried up in Manson, rather than the Entiat where he had his home. His family and the other native people considered that his grave would be better kept in Manson than it would be in Entiat. But he was quite something.
Next picture.
This is Chief Moses, who we all know about, and he loved clothes, as you can see.
Yeah, I wish that was in color. We'd really show you that.
It's great.
Yeah.
His last wife, Mary, was a seamstress, and she probably made everything that he's got on right now. The things hanging over the front of his shoulders are replicas of beaver tail. The fur stuff around his cuffs is probably beaver fur. Great hat. Moses was an interesting person. He fought in the Indian Wars. He killed white soldiers, and then finally, they rode the train to Washington D.C. And he came back and he said, "We can't fight." He says, "I've been there. There are no Indians there, just a whole lot of white people. I had no idea how many white people there were." He said, "So we can never win." So he changed his whole approach from waging war to waging peace. And
just recently, the city of Moses Lake, way overdue, but they finally are honoring Chief Moses.
Are they doing that?
Well, yeah, they have a nice little thing in Moses Lake that they just recently dedicated.
All right, I like
a few months
that
ago.
idea.
Yeah,
these people, they need to be remembered.
Absolutely. Next picture, please.
He's also one of my favorites. You got them all. This is Sarsopkin, one spelling of about 15 different ones that exist. And he was the last chief of the Sinlahecan Valley Okanogans. You kind of have to know the area down there. The Sinlahecan Valley runs from Loomis up to Concanoli. And it's a beautiful, I call it a paradise valley. And that's where he had his homestead. He negotiated a very large homestead under the Indian Homestead Act. And that's where it was in the Sinlahecan. He raised horses. And he also took a trip on the train to Washington, D.C. with Moses, a second trip. And that maybe is where he got his beautiful top hat. I said he's got a black top hat with an animal wrapped around it.
I see that. Next picture, please.
We like that. This is Tenasket, for whom the town of Tenasket is named. It's a very fascinating face, I think.
A very determined face.
It's a what?
A determined face to me. Very
if
determined.
You'll notice these faces on all these final chiefs, they are all determined.
Yeah, they're not smiling.
They're not smiling.
No.
And you wouldn't either in that situation. He's got a
agree.
great hat, and it looks like he's got something made of fur wrapped around him. I can't quite tell.
We have, I think, a few more photos to show. I don't know if we have any more Native American chiefs, but
No.
this photo I thought was just fascinating. Talk
This is
about
1908. We don't know where it was taken. There's any number of places that it would have fit, but I'm going to say probably in the Wenatchee Valley or...
When I first saw this, I wanted to say maybe out in Monitor.
It could,
Yeah,
yes.
the
it
foothills
could be
around
that
Monitor.
too. Yeah, I'm looking at those hills in the background.
And this is a posed photo,
This
which
is
why
a
it looks so
posed
good.
photo.
Right.
If you look at the left-hand side, you got a couple of guys in derby hats and suits, and they're each holding apples. They look like they're getting ready to juggle them. And the rest of the people are probably the families that owned the orchard and the workers in there. And so the photographer, whose name is in the corner, I can't read it and I can't remember it. But he said, okay, you stand here, you sit on the wagon, you go over here, and everybody stand really still for a while.
And for all we know, that orchard may still be there. Who
It
knows?
may be, but it's nice to be able to look at these untrimmed trees. We don't have orchards that look like this anymore.
No, and if you're a viewer out there, and you can pretty much get in, the idea I'm thinking is looking at the mountains in the background would give you the best idea of where this picture may be taken.
Yep.
Next photo, we're running a little short. The wreck.
The Pringle sunk in the Indiat Rapids. We've gotten a lot of benefits from the dams. I've lived a couple other places, and while I need to move back to where the power is cheap, and certainly we got that out of them. But we lost a lot too. We lost the last big free-ranging river in North America when we dammed it into reservoirs. But this was in the Indiat Rapids, and the steamboats ran back and forth between Wenatchee and Brewster. In the spring, they could get up almost to Riverside in Okanagan County.
And it was dangerous, and this is proof positive.
Very dangerous. There were at least 5 steamships. These are all paddle wheelers, sunk in the Indiat Rapid. Excuse me. This was one. The Pringle went down. They pumped it out and refloated it, and they were taking it down to shipyards in Wenatchee to fix it, and it broke loose from its tow line and went spinning down the Columbia and grounded itself on the bank just above the Rock Island Rapids.
Wow.
And the Griggs' company declared it a total loss.
I don't know if we have any more photos or not from the book, what they found. Oh yes, the Chinese ladders. I think this is our last one, Rod.
That could be.
Yep.
If you look hard, you can see this picture was taken from Met House Street right at the top before it dips down and joins the Squirrelchuck Highway. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So these were built by Chinese in about 1860, and you can see the ladders. And the Chinese were gold mining down along the river, and they would follow the gold up the tributary streams, and they followed the gold up the Squirrelchuck. We're going to find out where this is coming from. And what they found was what we now refer to as D Reef, where all the gold came from. And they built these ladders. You can see them one by one. And then right in the middle, you can see a ladder that comes right up at the end of a platform. So they would climb the ladders and stand on a platform and pry rocks out of the cliff and then drop them down to their buddies at the bottom, who would haul them down to the creek and wash them out and break them up. So this was a gold mining operation. These ladders were probably built around 1860. I believe that they are, and they're still there. You can drive down Meadow Street, and if you know what you're looking for, you can see them up there, right across from what used to be Bremer Construction. I don't know if they're still there or not. But these are the oldest man-made structures in the Wenatchee Valley, without a doubt.
And they're still there. Now,
And
they're hard to
still
find because
there.
they're all weather beaten and they kind of look like the rocks, but
I
they're still
wouldn't try climbing them.
No, that's just crazy.
All right.
What did you, we just have a few more minutes left, Rod. What did you take out of this book as you wrote it, and what do you want the people who read this to get out of this book?
That's a big question. I learned so much doing this book because there was a tremendous amount of research that I had to do. I didn't start out, excuse me, I didn't start out knowing this stuff. I took advantage of a lot of different research sources that had written about bits and pieces of it. I think what really struck me mostly was the interconnectedness of all of North Central Washington with all of North Central Washington. And as I say in the introduction of the book, that's what this is about. This is about how we are connected to all the other places in North Central Washington. And I guess that's what I want people who read it to understand too.
I've been saying that for years. It's not Wenatchee and East Wenatchee and Aniat and Cashmere and Chelan and Leavenworth. It's all of it. Yeah.
It's all of it.
It's all intertwined.
And as I say, I'm sorry, there's no place in North Central Washington that doesn't grow fruit.
Yeah, exactly. How do folks get a hold of this book? What's people are out there, they're going to say, I want a copy, Rod. What do I do?
Well, they're getting pretty easy to find. I do have a website to sell the book. It is ncwstories.net. Simple enough for me to remember. And other than that, you can find the book. I'll see if I can remember the various places. Here in the Wenatchee Valley, you can find the book at the Wenatchee Valley Museum. You can find it at Ridgeline Graphics. You can find it at the Rhubarb Market down on the avenue. That's probably it for the Wenatchee Valley. I'm thinking I must be missing somebody. You can find it up at the Cashmere Museum.
Okay.
You can find them at A Book for All Seasons
in Leavenworth. Yep.
You can find them at the Chelan Museum and at the Okanagan Museum. And pretty soon, when I make another trip, you'll be able to find them at the Trails End Bookstore in Winthrop.
I'm a native, and for me, my knowledge of the history of the Wenatchee Valley was the great names, the Galatleys, the Guns, the Millers, as you mentioned before, A.Z. Wells, and that. This goes back so much. I learned so much about the Wenatchee Valley that I thought I knew, and I didn't know. It turns out I didn't know squat, and so I want to thank you personally for filling in all the blanks. This is a fascinating book. If you have any interest at all in the people, and it is the people of North Central Washington that made it what we are today, this is a must-read. Rod, thanks for coming by.
You bet.
I appreciate it.
We should all know the story of where we live.
Yeah, if this is where you've decided to put down roots and call this place home, this book you got to have in your library. And more than that, you should read it. Rod, it's good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep,
you know
always
what
a
Mark
pleasure.
Twain said about a classic?
What's that?
He said, that's a book that everybody talks about and nobody reads.
Well, he was wrong on this point.
Yeah, I
Rod,
hope
it's
so.
good to see you.
All right.
You're watching Wake Up in Anchi Valley. We'll be right back.
Green Motion e-bikes have rolled into Wenatchee. We've got fun, affordable e-bikes for the whole family. Portable e-bikes that fit right in the trunk of your car. Fat tire mountain bikes plus unique vintage style bikes you won't find anywhere else. Get some exercise with pedal assist or just cruise up to 20 miles per hour with the throttle. Starting under $1,000, Green Motion e-bikes are affordable fun for the whole family.
Badger Mountain Brewing is proud to announce the grand opening of our new kitchen. Come try out our new menu featuring fabulous steaks, prime rib, gourmet burgers, and seafood grilled up by experienced meat master, Chef Galen Goodman. To complement your mouth-watering meal, Badger Mountain Brewing features 14 in-house crafted beers, an alcohol-free root beer infused with 11 different herbs and spices, 3 different ciders, and a great wine selection. Don't miss out on the best meats and the best brews down at Badger Mountain Brewing, located at 1 Orondo Avenue across the tracks from the Pybus Market.
When your heating or cooling system is giving you trouble, call the Diagnostic Doctor from Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here's the culprit right here.
All joking aside, when you call Dick's, you're calling 35 years of experience at customer service right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's strongly believes in repairing before replacing, and they service all major brands of HVAC units. And we are back here on Wake Up in Anchi Valley. You briefly saw the footage that we've been showing you this morning from a significant car accident on Sunset Highway. It was at the intersection of Sunset Highway and 13th Street, basically right next to the hotel behind the Douglas County PUD headquarters. It's still closed, that intersection. There are still detours in place. This accident was toned out at about 5:15 this morning. Here it is almost 8 o'clock, and they are still on the scene. That tells us this was a very serious accident. We know it was a multi-car accident. That's pretty much all we know at this point. Again, we'll have more on this accident as the day progresses. But as you can still see, they're still blocking traffic on Sunset Highway, where the intersection of Sunset Highway and 13th. So they're taking you out and around via the Valley Mall Parkway, and then up on the Baker or an Eastmont. But again, you're going to want to avoid that area if you can do so this morning until they get that cleaned up and taken care of. So there you go there. We'll have more on that, obviously, at 5 o'clock tonight. In the meantime, it's very pleasant. It's only 55 degrees outside of our studios. It's very nice. This has been an unbearably hot summer with lots of records being broken, a dozen days of over 100 degrees. Now, we're not done summer yet. We still got another month or so to go, but all things considered, if you like sunny and mild and cooler weather than what we've been having, this is a forecast I think you're going to like. There's a thing of low pressure that's spinning up that's right at the Canadian border with us. It's spinning counterclockwise, bringing in a little cool air. We'd like that. And that means bountiful sunshine and mild temperatures. Here's your forecast from the National Weather Service. 74, our high today, which is cooler than normal, our normal high. 85. We were 77 on Saturday and 77 on Sunday, so we'll be even cooler than that today. 50 for the overnight low tonight. A little bit warmer on Tuesday under clear skies. We'll get up to about 78 or so. Again, very little wind. And a few clouds Tuesday night. We have a little blip, just a little bump, a little shortwave system coming through Tuesday night into Wednesday. So we're going to have a little more wind, maybe a couple more clouds Tuesday night into Wednesday. But then we're going to warm up a little bit, about 83. We'll stay right about 83 on Thursday. That's still below normal. Friday is slightly cooler, and then we start warming back up again. A friendly reminder, it is still summer by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday, with temperatures back up above normal. And for the record, in case you're curious, at Pangmore Memorial Airport, we had 2 1/100ths of an inch of rain on Friday night, an additional 11/10ths of an inch overnight Friday into Saturday. Felt like more. We'll take what we can get. That's it for us. Have yourself a great and safe Monday. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.